Good evening, everyone. And after I pressed go live, realized I forgot the wrong intro. Oh, this is not Creating with Julia. This is Monday Night Live. Sorry about that. And welcome to Monday Night Live with Julia. Okay, here we go. Let me pull up your comments. Perfect. Okay, I can see your comments. Hello, everyone. Yes. That was my bad. Wrong intro. Not getting creative with Julia. We are here Monday Night Live and we are talking about embossing folders tonight. Brianna is moderating for me. She is in the background and she'll be popping up some links and answering some questions and putting your comments up on the screen. Just want to remind you that it's a 5% off embossing folders today and tomorrow. That's until 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, which is July 8th. Also in store tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So that deal does exclude new embossing folders and any embossing folders that are in last chance. So there you go. Brianna has popped that link up there for you so you can check that out. Okay, cool. Let's get started. Now, if you're looking at these are not my samples. I just happened to grab these from the store. Oh, Charlene, you're here and you're probably like, hey, those are my cards. And Charlene, yes, you would be right. I didn't make any samples to start off with. I just have ideas in my head that we're just going to go with. So these are actually Charlene samples. And the reason why I wanted to show them to you, this is using Lisa Horton. And these are embossing folders with coordinating stencils and dies. So Charlene made these. Now, does she say in here what ink she used? Yes, distress ink with spritzes. Oh, there you go. That's where the spritz is coming in. So yes, this is using an embossing folder. It's a Lisa Horton. Let me just see if I can tell you which one it is. And she doesn't put down which one. I don't know. But if you're looking at Lisa Horton, which we've included in the sale, the embossing folder, stencil, and dies, these are included in the sale. This is using Lisa Horton. This is a Lisa Horton embossing folder with coordinating stencil. So yeah, just a couple of samples I wanted to show with you. I'm not using those tonight, but I did want to share them because they are included in the sale. So I will be using some of the Year in Bloom embossing folders from Lisa Horton. I'm going to show you a really cool technique using Cloud9 interference inks with black paper using this one. I'm also going to be using a regular embossing folder, which this one is Spellbinders designed by Dina Wakely. This is one of the newer ones. And then I'm also going to be showing you how to use a 3D embossing folder that has a coordinating stencil. So I'm going to show you that as well, because the sandwich for a 3D embossing folder is different than a regular 2D embossing folder. So they are a little bit different. So I am going to be telling you a little bit more about that. Okay, let's just start with just a regular old embossing folder. This is your standard 2D embossing folder, not the deep set 3D embossing folders. And this one is Spellbinders, probably one of my favorites. One of my other current favorites is the Scribbled Letter, also by Dina Wakely from Spellbinders. And both of these were in stock on Saturday. Now, we've had a lot of sales of embossing folders today because of the deal. So I'm not sure what's left, but they were in stock on Saturday when I chose these. Now, regular embossing folders. So I just did this one earlier. So that is the Lined Circles one by Dina Wakely, just on some regular cardstock. So you can see how beautiful that is. Now you can go ahead and let me just grab a sentiment out. I meant to grab some and I forgot. I have a pack of ones from Simply Stated. So just doing the don't like that sentiment. Let me grab another one. Oh, here, this is a good one. So a really simple background. Just using your embossing folder, putting a sentiment on there, maybe putting some embellishments, maybe some gems, and you've got a really quick and fast card. Now, there are a lot of other things you can do besides just this. Now, this is gorgeous. Don't let me say, hey, Mari, how you doing? But that is a gorgeous background just by itself. Now, if you wanted to add something to that, let me just grab down. Just going to grab down. Let me just pull up an ink here. I meant to grab one out and I forgot. So let me just grab out a distress ink. Let's do that one. So like I said, this on its own, absolutely perfect. I love it. I would throw a sentiment on there. I would maybe ink the edges, throw in a few gems, boom, fast card. Now, if you wanted to add a little something else, you can grab your ink and we could come over here and we could lightly ink this up. And because this one's a circle, maybe I'm just going to do the center of that circle. Just go in that center, darken it up a little bit, and then just slowly rotate out, just adding a little bit of ink to it. And then I could go ahead, put my sentiment on there. Very nice. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? How you enjoying vacation? Nice. Hey, Wendy. So again, just by simply adding some ink, I mean, it's just so simple and so quick. And you can add as much ink as you want. I could make it a little bit darker, maybe rotate a little bit further out into that circle. Maybe I want to come and add some to the edge just to give it a bit of a frame. I could add a bit of splat of this. That would also look nice. And there you go. Quick, easy, fantastic card background. So that is just like some basic things you can do with a background. I'm just saying, where am I going to set that? So at the end, I can pull it out. Let's just set it there. Hopefully I remember that it's there. Okay. Now let's do another one. Here's another on colored cardstock. Beautiful. Love it. That's gorgeous. Now, maybe we want to use something a little bit different. Let's pull in. This is that Mermaid Lagoon. Now, you could come in with an ink pad and just gently rub it over. So now this might be not great because that is a very juicy pad. So that is very juicy. But you could come in, and I shouldn't have picked this one. The only reason I picked it was right here on my desk. But I have better results if I use, let me grab them out here. I have them somewhere. If you use a smaller, here we go. Smaller, like one of your mini pads. Julie, you became an auntie today? A great auntie? How was that possible, Julie? A great auntie. That's exciting. Congratulations. So you could come in and add ink and that's done. I mean, would I use this? No, but I'm actually going to show you something you can do. It is like a fingerprint, but I'm going to let this dry. And later on, I'm going to show you something you can do with this in your art journal. So let me set that one aside. Let me put this ink away. A great auntie. My goodness. That is fantastic. Congratulations. Okay, now let's ramp it up a little bit. What else can you do with your embossing folders? Let me grab one out. Let's grab this one out. Now I'm going to grab just a piece. This is an 80-pound piece of white cardstock. 80 pound. I'm going to just, I don't know why I have all these here. I'm just going to squish some ink down here. We're going to do a quick background, a smooshy background. There we go. So maybe you're like me and you like to have a lot of backgrounds around, and maybe you need to do a really cool background. A really quick card with a cool background. I'm just going to give this a quick dry. Okay, so there we go. We have a background. Let me just wipe that ink up. There we go. Okay, so there we have a, that one was actually, that was Mermaid Lagoon interference ink. Yeah. Mermaid Lagoon interference. Okay, so there's that background, just really fast. So now I'm going to take my embossing folder. So on most embossing folders, you'll see the brand name and a code, or the name of the name of the folder on the front. So I'm going to, ink should I use? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me come down here. I am going to grab, no, I don't want an oxide. I want a distress ink. Which one is this one? Sure, that works. Okay, so you can take a pad and you can rub it over your embossing folder. So I'm rubbing it on the front of the embossing folder, the one where it's going to be the deboss side. And I will show you what that means. Okay, cool. So I have covered this side in Dusty Concord Distressing. Now you're looking at it and you're like, I can't see anything. Okay, the ink is on there. I'm going to take my spray bottle and I am going to just lightly mist that. There we go. So you can see that ink on there. I'm going to place my inked piece of paper on the other side. We're going to close this. There we go. And now I'm going to put it through my platinum. Now, if you've got the platinum, or maybe you have the universal plate system for your shot, what I like about it is it has the instructions. So this is your standard embossing folder. So I need platform A, which is this one. I need platform B, my embossing folder, and then a C plate. And then we're going to put it through. Look how cool that is. So where you see the words, that's the embossing, where it has come up from the back. And now that is the blue with, I got a little bit of purple on the background. Now let me dry it because it's going to look a little bit different once that ink is dry. Okay, there we go. So I'll build this up. So the Mermaid Lagoon, this has a shimmer to it. The Distress ink that I used doesn't have a shimmer, but when I turn the ink Look, you can see that shimmer from the Mermaid Lagoon. Isn't that cool? Oh my gosh, I love that so much. What a cool effect. So stunning. Okay, let me put that one aside for a moment. And we're going to do the opposite. Now, this is what I like to do, especially if I haven't done. What is happening? I don't know. Something weird just happened on my screen. Don't know what that was. Can anyone confirm that you can still see me? Because something weird just happened on my screen. I do not want any tech gremlins tonight. They need to stay away. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. So let's do that again. Let's do something a little bit different. I'm going to grab this time on that first one, I did 80-pound paper. This time I'm going to do 100-pound paper or 110, sorry, a little bit heavier. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to clean this up yet because I'm going to repeat the same thing, but a little bit different. So I'm going to set that aside. Let's do the exact same thing with this on the background. Oop, how did I get two pieces of that? So again, 110-pound paper. Now I'm going to do both sides of this paper. And I've done this quite a few times, especially if I've got a new embossing folder that I haven't done this technique to. Sometimes I like one side better than the other for this technique. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do both sides of this paper. So this paper is going to be super wet. We're going to dry it. I'm going to sop up all of that ink. How wonderful is that? Nothing wasted. Love it. Oh, get out your embossing folders. Definitely. They're so much fun. Okay, let's give this a try. Okay, let's bring back the embossing folder. Now I'm going to ink both sides, the embossing and the debossing side. Now, if I was to use a distress oxide, I would get more of an opaque coverage on this, but I like the distressing because I don't cover up too much of the shimmer from the interference ink. Okay, there we go. Going to take my water bottle and I'm going to just do a light mist over both sides. There we go. So remember, I've got color on both sides of this. I'm going to put it in there and we are going to put it through our machine. Now, if you have interference inks and you haven't had them out in a while, I encourage you to get those out too, because they are gorgeous. Okay, so this is the same as the first one I did, but when we flip it over, look what we get. Now the words are purple. And I know you're looking at it, you're like, oh, the words look like they're backwards. Meh, that's fine. But look how cool that is. So you've got one where you've got the embossed, and then on this side, we've got the debossed. So you can imagine if you were to do this with a lot of your embossing folders, if you do both sides, you may find that you like the deboss side better than the embossed side. But look how cool that is. So I love it. So when I do it, especially if it's one that I know, an embossing folder that I haven't done this technique with, I will do it so I can look and be like, yeah, that's good, but oh my gosh, I love this side. So I'm going to use this side, the deboss side. So it's just something to think of, even though, I mean, it may not work for words per se, because if you flip over the deboss, it's going to, the words are going to read backwards, but anything else would look amazing. Like the line circle one. How cool would that look, right? Okay, so let me set that aside. Now, if you're wondering how to clean this, what I like to do, I like to take some paper towel, and I will just add some water in here. Just adding some water, put in a paper towel, close it up, and put it through my machine. Now, you could wipe it with a baby wipe. You could certainly do that. If your embossing folder has a lot of tiny details in it and it's hard to get into those little areas with a baby wipe or a cloth, this works really good because you're basically embossing your paper towel. Oh, Brianna, thank you. Oh my goodness. So there you go. One run through with a paper towel, and that is all clean. It's clean and dry. Okay, Brianna, thank you for the reminder. Let me set this aside. We do have a giveaway for tonight. I forgot all about it. We are giving away a Totally Tiffany 5x7 taker, which is fabulous for storing your embossing folders. So this is the giveaway. So if you want to win the giveaway, you have to comment, because before we leave tonight, Brianna is going to run our giveaway generator. Right now it's collecting your comments. It will run through all the names of anyone who's left a comment and choose a winner. So tonight it is the Totally Tiffany 5x7 paper taker, great for storing your embossing folders, but a lot more. Okay, so we've talked about using your ink on your embossing folders. Great way to do that. Now, let me just, where did I put that in my folder? Set it somewhere. Oh, here it is. Okay, let's put that away. Perfect, perfect. Now, these 3D embossing folders that come with a stencil. I love embossing folders that come with a stencil. Now, the one thing that makes it a little bit different, oops, we're not doing dies. Let me just take out these. Take out the stencil. Now, some embossing folders come with a stencil set. It will come with 2, 3, 4 stencils. This one's just a single stencil. Just wondering, if you ink the embossing folder and place a piece of paper on top of the ink side, would it act as a stamp? Sorry, let me read that again. Just wondering, if you ink the embossing folder. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, let's give it a try. If I've done that, it's been a long time, but let's do it. Oh, let's see. I got a piece of paper. Let's do one of these inks. So again, it depends on if you want embossed or debossed side. I'm just going to do this side. So Jennifer's wondering, if you ink up your embossing folder. Now I'm going to grab a brayer. If you could stamp with it. So let's put our piece of paper in there. Let's run our brayer over that. Now I maybe could have closed it to stamp it, but there you go. So yes, let's just go with yes. Okay, now I saw another question. So there, stamping with your embossing folders. Are there any inks you shouldn't use? I would not use any archival inks or any solvent inks. So I would only use dye inks, or I also wouldn't use pigment inks unless it's a pigment dye hybrid, like an oxide or the Lisa Horton, like this is a pigment ink, but it's a pigment dye hybrid. But I wouldn't use an archival, because you would have to use the archival cleaner, and the archival cleaner has a bit of a solvent in it and it may damage your embossing folder. And I wouldn't use a solvent ink like a StazOn, because it would really stain your embossing folder bad. And I don't know long-term use of that ink sitting on, because this is a plastic, what damage it would do. But dye inks and pigment dye hybrids would work fine. Okay, so to answer Jennifer's question, you can ink up your embossing folder, put a piece of paper on it, and use it like a stamp. Absolutely. Okay, let's pull this back in. So this is a 3D embossing folder. 3D embossing folders mean they give you a little bit deeper of an impression in your paper. And you have to do something a little bit different with this one. So let's set that aside for right now. So I'm going to use, for this one, I'm going to use 140-pound paper, just because. So when you go to emboss, what is a good idea is to give your paper a bit of spray of water. What this does is it helps loosen up those paper fibers so that your paper doesn't tear or crack. It's going to let those fibers kind of separate without cracking, because this is a deeper impression. So you might want to spray, not might, you will want to spray your paper with water. If you don't, your impression is it's going to look cracked, which isn't a massive big deal, but it won't look perfect. So you're just going to want to take your spray bottle, and I give a mist on both sides. So gentle mist on both sides of the paper. It's just very lightly damp. I'm going to put it in our embossing folder. Now, if you've got bring this back in here. If you've got the universal plate system, it's really only for the heavyweight paper, Kim. Now, the 3D embossing, you're going to want to do it with probably every paper. Sorry, I'm backtracking. For the 2D, I don't usually wet it at all. For the 3D, you're going to want to mist any paper, just because it's pushing into your paper. Yes, thin paper, anything 80 or below will actually cut through it. So you get a much crisper impression if you use a heavier weight paper, say 110 plus up to 140. Now, with your universal plate system, it will give you on platform A the sandwich for a 3D embossing folder. So you need your A platform, which is your thick one, your thick bottom one. You need your embossing folder with your paper, and then you need your adapter plate. Now, every machine is slightly different if you don't have the universal plate system. So you will have to either look up the manufacturer's instructions on that, or just kind of practice. What I suggest is don't force it through. Now, with a 3D embossing folder, I like to put it through my machine 2 times just to get that nice crisp image. So I've put this through twice. So we'll open this up, and then you can see that impression. Look how gorgeous that is. Even the deboss side is actually really stunning. But there is the emboss side. So with the stencil, like I said, the one I have is just a single stencil, but you will find, especially with the Lisa Horton or ones with, especially ones with flowers, you'll get multiple stencils so you can do the layering. And one of those examples I showed first is this one. So these would have multiple stencils so that you can get the layering of the inks. Okay, so what I do is I try and find kind of, and here we go. had my stencil upside down. So I was looking for this diamond here. So I know I'm looking for a diamond that's facing that way. It's one of the larger ones. And there you go. So it's really easy to line up. The folder will curl if your sandwich is too tight. Yeah. So I have used this one several times and you can see that is still straight. So if your embossing folder starts to bend or curl, that means your sandwich is too tight and you're putting too much pressure on your embossing folder. Okay, so let's do just some inking on this one. So I've grabbed out, what am I using? Tropical Paradise Shimmer Interference inks. So I'm just going to pull that up. And maybe I don't want to do inking. No, you would want to emboss first. You would want to emboss first and then do your stenciling. The stencil, the embossed part, actually helps you line up your stencil. And if you have like a larger embossing folder that's maybe 5x7 and you're putting an A2 size card front in it, it's going to be really difficult to line up your card with the embossing folder. So it's actually easier to do embossing and then stenciling. There you go. Can you reflatten the curled folder? I am not sure about that. I've never had to do it. The only thing I can think of is maybe a little heat, but I worried about making the warping worse. Yeah. So there you go. And I've used one of the interference inks that has the shimmer on it. I can see the shimmer in person. I don't know if it's coming through, but look how gorgeous that is. And because it's an embossed, you can see that it gives you the dimension of that. Isn't that fun? Isn't that gorgeous? I love that so much. So much. Oh my word. Okay, let me set that aside. I had a baby wipe here somewhere. All right, let's wipe this up for a second. There we go. Okay. Oh my word. Here we go. This is the one I wanted to do next. Where is it? Here we go. So another one that you can do, which is also very fun. I love this. So this is one of the Year in Bloom embossing folders. Now, for this sale, we had 3. It was Tropical Paradise was that last one. How about trying the hot water bath with a firm weight on it? Yeah, you could try that. I know they suggest that for warped plates. I mean, you could certainly try that. I don't know if I would try like hot boiling water because again, it's plastic. It's a little bit different than your plates, but you could try it. Yeah. Okay, so the Year in Bloom 3D embossing folder set from Lisa Horton. Brianna broke these up on Saturday, put them in the sale, so you can actually buy these individually now and save. Now, here we go. I'm going to grab out some black paper. Now, this is some heavyweight 140-pound mixed media paper. Now, something you can do. Now, this does take a bit of time. Probably not going to do the entire thing, but what you can do. I had a few colors here. There we go. So I got sapphire gold, Tropical Paradise Mermaid Lagoon. And let me bring this one in. So these are inks that look gorgeous on black paper. If you've never heard of the interference inks, when you look at their lid, the color you see over here is what they look like on white. The color you see over here is what they look like on black. I know, it's amazing. And then you can use it on other colors of embossing folders, or I'm sorry, you can use it on other colors of cardstock and the color will be different. But this is what it looks like. Yeah, it should be on our YouTube channel. It should be on our YouTube channel, Wendy. I'll have to go back after I'm done here and find it, and I'll send you the link, but it should be. Okay, thanks, Brianna. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take each ink and I'm going to squish it down here on my work surface. So first one here is the Sapphire Gold. Then we've got Tropical Paradise. Then we have Mermaid Lagoon. And the last one is Ripe Mango. There we go. So I've got a water brush pen. This is the new ones from Dilutions. I love them. Look at that fine tip. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just take my water. I'm just going to just add some water to this just so it's easier to pick up. So what you can do is you can pick up the ink and you can actually paint in your embossing folder. Like I said, I'm not going to do the entire thing because this is something that takes quite a bit of time. So you can paint the colors in. And Lisa has actually done several videos on her website, on her YouTube channel. So you can paint that color in and then emboss it on black. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to do the entire thing because we will be here all night. I'm just going to messily put some in here so I can just kind of show you, because there's a couple other things I want to show you before our time is up. So I'm just taking that ink and I am putting it in the emboss side, not the deboss side. You can do this on the deboss side, but I'm doing the emboss side. So like I said, this would take a bit of time if you're wanting to do the entire thing. I'm just going to find a leaf here so I can put in some green. And let me clean this brush off. Okay, let's come in here, pick up a bit of the pink. So let's do that. And then let me pick up a bit of the orange just for fun because I got it out. So you can see this is going to be beautiful. This is going to be stunning. But it is one of those ones where if I was doing this, I'm painting on the recess side. So the side that's going to be the embossed side. Yeah. So this is the one where the image is down into the embossing folder. So like I said, this is one of those ones where you really want to take your time with it. So you can see I've got the ink in there. Now I'm going to grab my paper. I am going to put it in there, and I'm using black paper. Okay. Because this ink looks fantastic on black paper. I'm going to close that up. Oh, almost forgot something. I want to add a bit of water. I'm going to flip that over since I got that wet. There we go. close that up. And this is a 3D embossing folder, so I want to use that same sandwich as I did the first time. Okay. My platinum machine. It is. It would be very time consuming. Oh, now this is really wet, so I'm going to dry this, and then all of that wet will go away, and then you'll be able to see it. But it is kind of time consuming, but the... Oh, thank you. Let's give this a dry. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was off screen. So I didn't spray the paper, I sprayed the embossing folder. So the water in the embossing folder would help my paper not crack. But look how gorgeous that is. Now, it isn't perfect because I was kind of rushing. So if it was one of those times where I just wanted to sit and just color the embossing folder and fill it all in, give it a spray of water, put your paper in, but look at how gorgeous that turns out. Isn't that stunning? I love it on black paper. Tell you, you have to use the interference inks on black paper. It's gorgeous on white, but on black, oh, chef's kiss. So while I got this ink here, I'm just going to pick this up. Going to pick up the ink and not waste it because it's too gorgeous to waste. Oh my word, love it. Okay, let's wipe that up. Okay, so there is something else I want to show you. Again, it could be considered one of those, actually, before I show you it with the scribble sticks, I do want to show you something else. Where did that? Okay, I'm going to bring this one back in. So see this? I don't necessarily like this. On black paper, no, you can use distress oxides because of the pigment. If you got a pigment ink, it'll work on black paper. I just love that, what it looks like on black. So that's why I use the Cloud9. But any pigment will look good. But if it's just a distress ink, it won't show up. Yeah, won't show up. We do sell, Brianna, can you remind me, do we have any of the foundations paper left? But we do sell heavyweight black mixed media paper. Yeah. And the white 140 pound I'm using is the Vicky Booten foundations paper. Okay, I'm going to show you an interesting technique with this. Now, if you watch my very first Creating Live with Julia, you may remember, and I'm going to grab my art journal down. You remember me doing this exact same technique on that Facebook Live I did, that Creating with Julia. But let me find it. It's on here. Oh, maybe it's not in this one. No, it's not in that one. Too many art journals, I tell you. Okay, I think it's in this one. Okay, here. So exact same embossing folder. I put paint on it and I used it as a stamp. So anyone who watched me create this art journal on Being Creative with Julia have seen this technique, but I'm going to show you here. So this is embossed. That's the emboss side. I'm going to grab my brayer and let's grab some paint. And let's grab a tag. Okay, so let me put ink down here. Not ink, sorry, paint. I'm going to pick it up with my brayer. Get a nice thin coat. I'm going to take it and I am going to run it over my embossed image. There we go. Bring my tag back in. And I'm going to stamp with my embossed image. This is another fun technique I love to do. But look how fun that is. Look at that. So the paint I'm using, it's Paper Artsy Southern Skies. But look how fun that is. And that was an embossed, just an embossed piece of paper. Now, let me dry this. And let me dry this. Because this can be used. It's not garbage. So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear around it here. There we go. I can glue it onto my tag. Put some glue on there. And then that's going to go on my tag. Would it work with the matins? Yes, it would. Yep. There you go. I mean, how cool is that? So I've just taken an embossing folder, embossed a piece of paper, slapped a little paint on it, used it as a stamp, and then still use this as, yeah, I mean, look how cool that is. It's brilliant. I love it. Remember the first time I saw that technique, and I don't even know where I saw it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I grabbed out all of my embossing folders and I just started making prints with them in my art journal. And I thought, this is amazing. I love that. But look how cool that is. Okay, let me set that aside. So say you've got scribble sticks, or maybe you've got the new Dilutions cakes, or maybe you've got distress crayons. So inking what is considered the backside would be similar to the letterpress. Yeah, I guess in a way. Yeah, I guess in a way, Ronnie. Yeah. So I'm going to let me grab scribble sticks. Ooh, my new scribble sticks. This is the new one. Let's grab, what do I want to grab here? Let's grab a new one. I bought this one just for tonight and I haven't even opened it. That is a crime. Let's open this one up. What is this one called? Field Notes 3D embossing folder. Okay. So if we, oh, I love a new embossing folder. It's like still a little stiff to work in. Okay. So I've got my scribble sticks. I'm going to get a piece of paper ready. Here we go. Let's get that out and available. Now you could do this a couple of ways. I could, nope, don't want that one. I could color directly on the embossing folder, and I am coloring on the side that's going to, I'm doing the, so you can come in and you can either do this dry on your embossing folder. And what I mean dry is just, you know, this is dry. We're just going to put it on there. So I'm going to do one side dry, which just is applying it like this. This is a nice embossing folder. And I know this embossing folder, well, it was available on Saturday. I don't know now. Okay, so let's do that. I might as well finish that image. So again, if I was doing this for myself, I would not be going this fast. I would be taking my time. Now, as a hint, if you find it, because I'm white on white, it's a little bit hard to see, but if I was to put black under it, it's a little bit easier to see the image. So just as a hint, why I'm not doing that, I don't know. Okay, now I could also use this wet. Let me get a darker green. Water. I don't have a little bowl with me, so I'm just going to grab some water. Perfect. So now my scribble stick is wet. Scribble sticks are water-soluble pigments. That's what scribble sticks are. So now I'm going in and my scribble stick is wet. I'm going to dip it in the water and just keep applying it. So I've applied it dry. I'm applying it wet. And now I'm going to, let me grab a brush. Let me grab a brush. Here we go. Now I could also paint it in. So let me pick up some water. Now this time I'm going to the flat end. I like using this end when I'm doing my painting. So you could also paint it in. So different ways of using the same product on the embossing folder. So again, just picking that up, applying the ink into the embossing folder, like so. Yes, you can use this with distress crayons, with the color cakes, with these, yeah, any water soluble. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I've just done 3 images on there. Let me put this back. There we go. Just going to wipe that up so I don't make a bigger mess. Let me grab a fresh piece of paper. Here we go. Now, this one that's dry, it's going to need water. So these 2 are already wet. So I'm just going to take my mister and I'm just going to mist over that one that I put on dry. And let's, oh, that's the wrong one. Let's put that in there and put it through our die cutting machine. Now this is a 3D embossing folder, so I'm going to want to use that adapter plate. And there you go. You know, I knew Charlene would have the answers. Charlene's so smart. I don't know if they're more intense. They're different, right? They're different designers. So the scribble sticks are going to be in the colors of Dina Wakley's palette. The cakes are going to be in the colors of Diane Reevely, and Tim Holtz are his distress inks. So the cakes, and I know we're sold out of these, but I didn't get a chance to show you what they look like. So in here, you have the pencils, but then you also have the cakes, which these are great if you're just doing watercolor. These are great for drawing with, but these are great just picking up, and I shouldn't be using this because it has blue on it. See if I can get that clean. So these ones you can just pick up with a water brush and then paint on. Where these you can dry, you can apply dry and then go in with a brush. So if you wanted to do more detailed work. Now I know we are currently sold out of the Dilutions ones, but we do have them on order. So then I could come in with water and just do that. Yeah. These are very intense colors. These are highly pigmented. I have just barely started using them. I need to go watch some of Diane's videos, but I've been hearing some amazing things with these. Do they smudge with your fingers? Well, Kim, you're just asking all the tough questions tonight. I don't know. These are very hard. Very little. They smudge very, very little. Now, if it was to wet my finger, I almost stuck my finger in my water glass. That would have been awful. So I put a little bit of water on my finger, and you can see how it begins to go. I don't know, Lori, if they go over paint or not. I don't know. Maybe. I know this isn't her paint, but if that's what you mean. There you go. Yeah. So like I said, I just got these, haven't even really began experimenting or using them. I want to watch some of Diane's, videos, but those are very cool. I love my scribble sticks. Absolutely love the scribble sticks, but yeah. Okay, so let's bring these back in. We're almost at 7:30, so I'm going to tell Brianna to start getting our giveaway ready. So another thing I like to do, these are cool. Now these would make good card backgrounds, but what I've also done is I've taken them and I've cut out shapes and I will use them in my art journal, or I will put these on cards too. So even though I might do a full A2 or a 5x7, I will go in and cut out just pieces and then use those in my art journal or even on a card, like even squares even. Here's that one I printed with. Oops, gotta open it up. Like, how fun is that? Oh my gosh, I love it. Those look good together. Okay. Oh, I see Brianna is getting ready to do our giveaway. Let me do a quick reminder of what the giveaway is. We are giving away a Totally Tiffany storage and supply case 5x7 paper taker. Great for storing your embossing folders, by the way. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But great for other storage as well. And another reminder of our Monday Night Live demo deal. 25% off embossing folders, excluding new and last chance. And it also includes the Lisa Horton stamp die and stencils that we've included those, and those are also 25% off. So Brianna, when you are ready, let's see who is winning the 5x7 paper taker from Totally Tiffany. Oh, Brianna's getting ready. Oh, here we go. And who is the winner of Bonnie Nesbitt? Bonnie Nesbitt, you have won the 5x7 Totally Tiffany paper taker. Congratulations. So there you go. We've had fun with embossing folders. We've just started just the tip of the ice. Went through some really quick, easy, but you can see how many different things you can do with embossing folders. So if you've got a ton of embossing folders, get them out, have fun, get inky, make some prints, do some different things with them. Oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. You can do them on both sides. Looks great. There you go. Thank you so much, everyone. Bonnie will be in touch and get your paper taker to you. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Take care. Bye.